It's episode 499 of the Locked On Rangers podcast. Today, I'm talking about Marcus Semien, who is a Texas Ranger. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are Locked On to the Texas Rangers. I'm your host, Brice Paterik. Ecstatic that the hot stove is up and moving. It is jumping. It is burning. Keep your hands off that hot stove because it will burn your hands. I'm here to talk about the Rangers signing Marcus Semien to a 7-year, $175 million deal. But before I do that, I want to thank you for making Locked On Rangers your first listen of the day. Make sure you can listen on YouTube, on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. But no matter where you're listening, the Rangers got Marcus Semien, one of the best free agents on the market, if not the best. I know there's some kind of debate on that. He had the best season of anybody last year. And my God, the Rangers went and did it. They spent money. They actually said they were going to do it, and they did it. I didn't believe they were going to do it. I didn't believe they were going to spend all this big money, and there's still talk of them doing more. According to Jeff Passan, they're still in on Trevor's story. So that best case scenario I talked about on Friday's episode of them getting Marcus Semien plus one of those shortstops, it's still on the table. It's still possible. It still might happen. So, my goodness, it is, first of all, wow. The Rangers haven't had a free agent signing like this since Adrian Beltre. It has been a long time since the Rangers got somebody this big that we knew was good at the time. The Lance Lynn signings and Mike Minor signings, the Kyle Gibson signings ended up being pretty good. But at the time, no one expected them to do what they did. With Adrian Beltre, there was some level of expectation there. This kind of gives me similar vibes. When Adrian Beltre signed with the Rangers, he was going into his age 32 season and then went on to defy Father Time and have a top 15 MVP finish from 2011 when he signed all the way until 2016. So that is 6 straight seasons of him defying Father Time. Now, am I saying that Marcus Semien is going to be like that and do that? No, I don't think so. I think putting that level of age-defying expectation on anybody is just rude and unnecessary. But he has been fairly consistent, and this has been his best year. 2020 wasn't great for him, wasn't great for anybody. But 2021, boy, that was the year of Marcus Semien. If there wasn't his teammate in Vladdy Jr. and Shohei Ohtani doing great things, he would have won the MVP. He finished third in MVP voting. He got an All-Star nod, first of his career, a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger. Also, this is the second time he's been top 3 in MVP voting. He was also top 3 in 2019, which was a well-deserved season. But again, he got beat by Mike Trout, which, happens. It totally happens, and Alex Bregman. But yeah, an incredible season for him this year. In case you don't know, played all 162 games, finished with 45 home runs as a second baseman, which is the most home runs by a primarily second baseman in a season, which is fantastic. He also had 39 doubles to go along with that. You ask what's his walk rate? His walk rate's pretty good. He had 66 walks in 724 plate appearances. On base of 334. Not perfect, but pretty good. But slugged 538, so a 873 OPS this season. The year before that, 2 years before that, if we're just throwing out 2020, which I feel like we can because it was just such a mess for so many guys. And he obviously bounced back this year. In 2019, he had an 892 OPS. For his career, he has a 768 OPS. He's really came into his own since that 2019 season. Started kind of finding his way a little bit before that, but this is really his coming out party. Has been in 2019 and 2021. Now, excuse me for occasionally looking down my phone. The free agency news is not going to stop, and I have a feeling that something's going to break while I'm on this podcast. Just knowing my luck, not that I have any inside sources or something, but just knowing my luck, something's going to happen. This is a huge get for the Rangers. They needed somebody. This is a team devoid of stars. They had Joey Gallo and Adolis Garcia, and that was it. And at the end of the season, they literally just had Adolis Garcia. So they need some star power. They needed to go spend some money. They are a top 5 market in baseball, so they should freaking spend like it. And they hadn't been as of late. And now This is them actually spending like it, determined to come out of this rebuild in 2023. They're not going to come out of it with this signing alone, but it is a good first step, a very good first step, and a good sign to the fans that we're really in on actually doing this. He had a 7.3 WAR season this year. Marcus Semien did an 8.4 WAR season according to Baseball Reference in 2019. So you want a guy who's been top 3 on MVP ballots in 2 of the last 3 years. The Rangers haven't had anybody do that since a long time. It's been a long time since the Rangers have had anybody do that, and they just needed star power so badly, so desperately. I mean, those of you who watch the season, how desperately you need somebody to make you want to watch this team. For the first half of the season, it was Joey Gallo. It was a little bit Kyle Gibson and Adolis Garcia. Like, all right, I need something. Yeah, this team might lose a whole bunch of games, but like, there's something to look forward to. And having a star is a reason to do that. In a rebuilding team, it's so hard to watch when there are no stars. At least the Baltimore Orioles had a couple of guys that were pulling out and being absolute stars. They had John Means and Cedric Mullins. The Pirates had some of their guys as well. In the outfield and at third base. Of course, these names are blanking on me as I'm trying to come up with it. And even Arizona had Ketel Marte, but the Rangers had no star power at the end of the year. Adolis Garcia really tailed off and wasn't quite star level at the end of the season. You need somebody to sell tickets, put butts in seats. I still don't know how they finished first in attendance this year. Well, of course I know. It's because they opened up prematurely during a pandemic when people weren't getting the vaccine as quickly as we would have liked them to, and put some people in danger. But it's fine. It's fine. They did it. I don't think they're going to lead baseball in attendance next year when everybody is opening back up to pretty much full stadium capacity, because there's still not going to be a great baseball team next year. As much as I love Marcus Semien, and I do love Marcus Semien, he is a great signing. But it takes more than one signing to make this team good. But there was another signing the Rangers made, and I'm not as super duper high on it, but it might end up being solid. But first, I got to tell you about Direct TV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you, it lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone. You've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get that entertainment that you love without all the hassle. And finally, a great way to get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite movies, sports, shows, all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. That's awesome. But the best part is there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible, device required, content varies by package. Now, the Rangers made another signing. It wasn't just Marcus Semien that they signed today, and it might be another one by the time I upload this podcast, but they also signed veteran right fielder Kole Calhoun, a guy who has won a Gold Glove in his career, has mostly been with the Angels, but the last 2 years has been in Arizona, has been fine, pretty solid, left-handed hitter, won a Gold Glove back in 2015, and last year with Arizona was really rough for him, but 2020 was actually really great for him, and so was 2019 as well. In 2020, in 54 games, he had a 864 OPS. He hit 16 home runs as a primarily right fielder, and in 2019, he had 33 home runs and a 792 OPS. For his career, he has a 749 OPS, just about fine, about average. That would be a 749 OPS, I believe, on this Rangers team would have been, second. Let me double check. Let's see. Nathaniel Lowe led with a 771 OPS, and other people who were there on the team at the end of the season that would have been higher than Adolis Garcia's OPS at the end of the season. So yeah, he would have been basically the second best hitter on the Rangers. Now, do I think this means that he's going to start every single game? I don't know. I also don't know the length of the contract yet. He is going to be 34 years old coming into this season. He only played 51 games this year, was hurt, and also didn't perform super well in those games. He had a 235 batting average, a 297 on base, and slugged under 300 at 373. Not a super inspiring line. Only 5 home runs in those 51 games. That's not really the real Kole Calhoun, or maybe it is at this point. I don't know. He is getting older, so all these players have a little bit of a wear and tear factor. He was fairly healthy He has played 1,071 games in 10 years in his career. Over 8 years with the Angels, he played 966 games. Never really missed a whole lot of time. Played over 150 games from, actually over 155 games from 2015 all the way to 2017. Took a break, only played 137 in 2018, and played 152 in 2019. So basically every year from the time he became a full-time starter in 2015 till he left Los Angeles in 2019, he was pretty much a consistent guy. Now his splits are not too drastic against righties and lefties. He does hit better against right-handed pitching. He has a 768 OPS against right-handers in his career in over 3,000 plate appearances, and against lefties he has a 701 OPS in about 1,000 plate appearances. So on base wise, it's not that much different. It's more the extra base hits. His on base against righties is 325. His on base against lefties is 314. So probably not going to see a whole bunch of time against left-handed starters. He might be a little bit of a platoon guy. Might he platoon with Seiya Suzuki? I don't know. I still need to see the length of this contract, the amount of money. I don't think it'll be too long. Honestly, I think if it's 3 years, I'd be surprised. I think 1 or 2 year deal makes more sense. Probably a 1 year deal after the year he came off, and given his age, I think makes sense. I honestly don't really have a barometer for what kind of money he might get. It might be $5 to $10 million. I don't know, something like that, given his age, and again, coming off a very, very bad season. But his slugging against righties versus lefties, righties it's 442. Against lefties, he slugs 387, so about a 50 to 60 point difference in that OPS, or in that slugging percentage. So, yeah, a guy who really mashes against righties and does not so against lefties. So if you bring Seiya Suzuki in, you're not sure how great he's going to do in his first season. You also get another veteran in the clubhouse, which who can actually produce in recent years. I love Brock Holt, and I love me some Charlie Culberson, and they're a lot of fun, and they are actually pretty good at social media as well. But they're not super great baseball players, especially when they're your everyday starting guys. They're definitely more suited as bench roles, and I think that Kole Calhoun can produce as a primarily left fielder. What I think this does to the Rangers outfield, I think that Adolis is going to be in right field at this point unless they sign somebody big. I think Leody Taveras is going to be their starting center fielder. I feel pretty good about that. I know his offense was quite atrocious this year, and he knows his offense is quite atrocious this year. An OPS under 500 in 49 games, had a really terrible stretch this season to start, and then a really terrible stretch when he got called back up late in the season. But eventually he turned it around and looked a lot better towards the end of the season, a lot more confident. Again, the offense is not great, and that's honestly okay, because defensively he is one of the top 3, I think, center fielders in baseball defensively. With his speed, his instincts, his arm, he is already one of the better defensive center fielders, and that brings a whole lot of value. So much so that the bat doesn't need to be explosive, amazing, wonderful, fantastic for him to be providing value as a regular starter. So if he can be league average offensively, I think he's going to be an above average starter for quite a while. And again, he is still very young. This will be his age 23 season. Feels like he's been in the big leagues for forever, or he's just been on like top of mind because he progressed through the system so quickly, because he made his debut at age 21. But yeah, he's still very young. He is still, up and coming, and he's still got time. And if not, then he can be optioned down to AAA and go and build on the good season that he had last year in AAA. It was a really good season in AAA, and it made all the difference in the world. I believe he had 18 home runs. Let me double check that real quick. Nope, he had, 17 home runs in AAA, and then he had, where'd we go? 9? Nope, 3 home runs. So a 20 home run season as a whole. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And then with Aquillos in the Dominican Winter League, he's done fairly well there. In 25 games, he has an on-base of 405, hitting 319. His slugging is 436. That's an 842 OPS. That is definitely some encouraging stuff. But again, only a small sample size of 25 games. But that's good. Give him some, a little bit of confidence. Give him a little bit of, just confidence back in his bat. He absolutely needs that. And, I think that it would be good for him. And I think he's going to bounce back. He's a talented kid. The Rangers believe very highly in him. and I believe very highly in him, and I think he is their center fielder of the future. If not, I think him being in AAA makes more sense than him being a kind of defensive replacement platoon guy. He needs his reps, and the Rangers still believe very highly in him. So he's going to be getting reps somewhere next year. I think it's going to be in Arlington, unless they do something drastic and like trade for a center fielder, which I don't see them doing. I really don't see them involved in any trades. Some people have suggested that they should be in on maybe trading for Matt Olson. I don't see that at all. I don't think that makes sense for their timeline. You literally just traded for a first baseman last year. You can't do that every year. Like, trade for somebody else if you want to trade for somebody big. Also, other teams are better than you, and Matt Olson is probably going to want to go, if he has a say, he's going to want to go to a team that's good. And I don't think the Rangers have the farm system or are in a smart place to be trading for a star like Matt Olson, like I've seen a couple of reputable people suggest that they should. Or might consider. I really just don't think they'll consider it. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to look at what else the Rangers need to do in this offseason and what it means for them signing these players coming up. But first, I got to tell you about Buildbar. It's here. The best Monday of the year. Cyber Monday. And Built.com is the place to aim your mouse. Get at least 20% off everything delicious and healthy. That's 20% off site-wide. And even bigger discounts on Built Boost, Broth, and Built Swag. A brand new Built Bar flavor has just landed in time for Cyber Monday. Caramel, almond, delight, and it delivers everything it promises. Caramelized chocolate, check. Almonds, check. Delightful, double check. Be sure to get yours before they're gone. They are delicious. They sent me a package. It's just chef's kiss. Absolutely fantastic, just like all of them. 150 calories, 17 grams of protein. And this season, if maybe you're craving some white chocolate, I don't know, get the special new flavor, Built Bar Puffs flavor, white chocolate cheesecake. Yummy protein treat filled with marshmallow center, covered in white chocolate, 140 calories, 17 grams of protein. 'Tis the season to save and give your taste buds a gift of Built Bar. Get to Built.com for these incredible tasting new bars and 20% off of everything. Head to Built.com, enter code LOCKED20 before it's too late. Now, the Rangers have gotten serious about their offseason plans. They made a big cash signing, $175 million to Marcus Semien, and I've seen some people complaining about the money. First off, congratulations on owning the Texas Rangers. That's the only reason you should be concerned about how big the checks the Rangers ownership is signing. If you're not the Rangers owner, then it doesn't matter. It's not your money. These guys are billionaires. They can literally sign whoever they want if they wanted to. It's not your money. You don't have to sign these guys. You're not paying $175 million to this guy. You're not. You're really not. Unless you're Bob and Ray, you're listening to this podcast, and in which case, come on and talk about this signing and how magnanimous and generous you are for making the signing if you sign some more players as well. But the Rangers are definitely in on some of these other guys. I'm not sure that the team's going to pay Carlos Correa $300 million if it's not the Rangers, because it seemed like they seemed to be the only ones that were in on this, with Detroit out and, the Yankees being like, I don't know about this. And I don't know where he's going to get that money if he's not going to get it with the Rangers. I think Detroit might eventually pony up and pay him. I don't think the Mets would shift their interests from Javi Baez, because that's where their sights are targeted, as well as filling out their pitching rotation. But I don't know, some mystery team could jump up and surprise and be like, hey, you know what, here's a $300 million check to one of the best free agents that we've seen in several years. Definitely better than any free agent that's going to be in next year's class. And, I don't know. Somebody could definitely surprise them. I don't think it's going to be the Rangers. And I don't think Corey Seager is necessarily an option. I know I did do that in my highest of highs projection for that. But let's say that my optimistic Rangers are going to spend $100 million, because it's leaning like that they are going to spend add $100 million to the payroll. So they have $75 million average annual value to assign for the next couple of years. And I don't know, one of those big money signings. It depends on how much this Kole Calhoun signing is worth. I'd say in the $5 to $10 million range. I feel pretty confident in that. So let's say let's go be optimistic and say it's on the low end, and it's $5 million. So the Rangers have spent $30 million on next year's payroll. They have $70 million to play with. The Kershaw deal feels, I don't know, if it's at $27 million average annual value, I think that might be a lot. I think the Rangers might be willing to spend it. And I think John Gray is signing soon. So let's say we add him to that list. Let's say we add John Gray at the 4 years, $44 million, $11 million average. So we're at $51 million now? No, $41 million. So there's still $59 million left to play with. So maybe you could go in and throw that that Kershaw deal with a $27 million average. And then you'd still have about $20-ish million to go sign. Maybe, I don't know, Seiya Suzuki. I think it's still technically possible if they spend $100 million. I don't know where else they'd spend it except getting maybe a third starter. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe it is 3 instead of 2 starting pitchers that they need. Or maybe they go big and sign some big pitching free agent besides Clayton Kershaw. Maybe they look at a Robbie Ray. I saw an article linking them to Robbie Ray. I don't know that that's necessarily realistic for them, but if they're going to be one of the ones to sign these big checks, then it seems like that might be what it takes. The 7th year apparently was the deal breaker with Marcus Semien. That was the thing that put the Rangers over the edge. Nobody else was willing to go to 7 years on a guy who is going to be 37 at the end of that contract. The Rangers were like, yeah, we'll do that. But again, I want to get back to some of the fans thinking, oh my gosh, this is so much money for a guy. And I don't know, this might be an overpay. That feels about right in the middle, because the most aggressive contract that I saw for him was 5 years, $148 million. That was just under $30 million average annual value for Marcus Semien. And the low one was, on the lower end, was 6 years, $138 million, according to MLB Trade Rumors. That's $23 million average annual value. So feels about splitting the difference, and that's what I said on that Friday episode. Was thinking, yeah, I think about $25 million average annual value is going to get it. I didn't think it would take 7 years, but you know what? I think the Rangers decided that was worth it, and to get these big guys, sometimes maybe it is an overpay. Maybe it is. Maybe he falls off to being what he was like in his early 20s when he was just not super great. You know, maybe he is. Maybe he only goes to have 27 home runs like he did in 2016. Maybe he has a 15 homer season like he had in 2018 when he played in 159 games and just was only fine. Had a 706 OPS that year. Maybe he is. I don't know. But he's shown the potential to do that. And with the new hitting coaches the Rangers are adding to their staff, I feel pretty good about them. About him keeping his longevity in his age 31 through maybe not all the way through 37 season. Like that's just probably going to fall off. It's just a matter of being honest. It's fine. That's what you pay for. You know that going into the contract. You're getting the prime years. You're kind of back paying in a way for these guys on these big deals. Marcus Semien, this is the first multi-year contract that he's gotten. He didn't have a great offer from the A's after the 2021 season to stay. He signed a 1-year deal, betting on himself in 2021, and my God, that's a bet that paid off huge, absolutely huge for him. He took an $18 million deal with the Blue Jays for his age 30 season, went off and had one of the best second baseman seasons, best seasons that a second baseman has ever had, and he got absolutely richly rewarded for that like he deserves. Now, there is one question about what he does in Texas. Is he going to wear number 10? No, because it's retired for Michael Young. Or is it retired yet? I'm not exactly sure. Let me go double check. But I don't think that he is going to. Yeah, it is retired for Michael Young. So he's not going to be able to wear number 10. I don't think Michael Young is going to unretire it for him, nor should he. So I'm curious if he might go back to wearing the number that he wore in Chicago, which was number 5, which last I checked has not been retired yet for Ian Kinsler, nor do I think it maybe will be because of his exit. I think maybe it should be. Just everyone let bygones be bygones and forget that whole I hope you go 162 comment. Just get over it. It was in the heat of the moment. But I know Willie Calhoun is very excited about Marcus coming here. Willie Calhoun tweeted today, just got done getting lunch with Marcus. Let's just say, Rangers, y'all are going to love him for real. 100 definition of a baller with the hands up praise emoji. So Willie's happy. I'm happy. I'm sure Willie's not as happy about the Kole Calhoun signing, but he's got a buddy named Calhoun. We can call them the Calhoun brothers. Have some fun with that, assuming they're both on the team come opening day, which I really hope is the case because I love Willie, and I want him to stay and do well, and I want good things for him because I think he can achieve them here in Texas. But at the end of the day, the Rangers got Marcus Semien. I am ecstatic. This is a great pickup for them. And they needed a star. You know the last time that the Rangers had somebody who did what he did, had a 7-WAR season as a position player? It's been a minute. It's been a hot minute. Not a cold minute, but a hot minute. And the last person to do it was, where'd we go? Yeah, 2012. Adrian Beltre. It's been a decade since the Rangers had a 7-WAR position player. Mike Minor did have a 7.6 baseball reference WAR season in 2019, which might have been a little higher. I think Fangraphs had him at like something ridiculous, like a 3-WAR season, which I don't think it was a 3-WAR, maybe the 5-WAR. I don't know. But the position player wise, they haven't had a position player this good since Adrian Beltre. As much as I love Joey Gallo, who wasn't healthy or consistent enough to do that over a full season. I think he might have been around that this year if he stayed. He had a 4.2 baseball reference WAR with the Rangers. He might have been there this year. But basically, they haven't had a free agent pickup this big since Adrian Beltre. This is huge. Again, gives me some Adrian Beltre vibes. Going to be a leader, going to be a guy with some skins on the wall. At this point, I say that he plays shortstop. If they don't get somebody else, they have talked and they said it's not decided where he's going to play. But at this point, I don't think Isaiah Kiner-Falefa moves over to short or to moves him over to second base. At this point, I do think that if they don't sign anybody else, if they don't sign one of those big three that's left on the wall, excluding Javi Baez, I think Javi Baez is going to the Mets or somebody who is not the Rangers. But I really do think at this point he would play shortstop. If the Rangers do get Corey Seager, or they get Carlos Correa, or they get Trevor Story, I think he moves over to second base. But again, with about a $25.8 million average annual value of Trevor Story, they still have some room to play with to go get some other names. Maybe not. Maybe their one outfield splash is Kole Calhoun, and I think that'd be just okay. I thought they needed an outfielder, and you make the big splash on the infield. If you get 2 big splashes on the infield, and then some pretty nice pitcher to go along with John Gray, which I'm hoping happens. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Rangers, or he's going to sign somewhere else, but I think the Rangers are leaning very hard into him, and I would love to see them go get him. But anyway, you can sleep easy, rest easy, be happy, celebrate your day. It's a great Sunday for sports. Marcus Semien is a Texas Ranger, and the Cowboys didn't lose today, so it's a great sports Sunday in general for the Dallas-Fort Worth area metroplex and anywhere where Rangers are across the entire globe. Thank you so much for listening to Locked On Rangers. Thank you for making it your first listen of the day. Make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter at Brice Paterik. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy Marcus freaking Semien.